Hi everyone, this is the April 2018 AMA Patron stream, and I'm recording this live on April 35th, and we've got a lot of questions, so let's just dive in. Amrit asks, "Hi Natalie, what are your thoughts on handbags and high heels?" Wow, that's of course what I think being a woman means. Tell the turfs. I think I like handbags. I like high heels, but I don't wear them. And I don't wear them because I'm too tall. And I know a bunch of people are going to comment now saying, "You're not too tall. No one's ever too tall for high heels. You're beautiful exactly the way you are, no matter what you do." Well, you guys are really, really sweet. But I personally feel that if I have a 3-inch heel on, then I become 6'4", and I prefer to be 6'1". So, those are my thoughts. Handbags, though. Yes to that. Okay, Diotaz Devil says, "Hello, Natalie. I was really hoping for more detailed economic analysis in Capitalism Part 2, and it seemed to back off and stay more general, which I guess works for that video as an easily digestible intro to the topic for the master plan to convert all normies. Do you have any plans for a video discussing economics, maybe with a guest star spot from an economist professor in the topic? Potentially boring, if the topic is long, and daunting and something you don't want to wade into alone. I can't think of anyone else besides you yourself who could take time something as boring but important like capital and make it into a fun, entertaining, and educational mini-film." So, in that video, I avoided getting too specific about the economic analysis because I am not good at that. I don't know that much about economic analysis. It's not really what my education is. And I kind of like to stick to, what I feel confident and knowledgeable about. I could do a thing in joint with a economist or something, but I've never done anything like that. I don't know. Obviously, there does seem to be a large demand for me to talk about Marx in detail. So I might do it. I'm not saying definitely no, but it would have to inspire me somehow. I would have to get inspired to do it, in all probability, for that to actually happen. Daniel Sullivan says, "Which translation of Das Kapital should I go with?" Oh boy, I'm not the one to answer that question. I'm not a Marx scholar. I don't even recall what translation it is I have, but unfortunately I don't know. I don't know what translations of Marx are the best. Someone in the comments though on the invite posted a beginner's guide. I guess this is a translation too. Okay, Ms. Contrary says, "What is the worst booze you ever tasted? My fiance has a YouTube channel where she tries some and would like a recommendation from you." Worst booze. Well, there's some pretty bad stuff. Malibu is bad. Those flavored Pinnacle vodkas are bad. Obviously the bottom shelf. Montezuma tequila, very, very bad. Aristocrat vodka on the East Coast is drain cleaner. Old Crow whiskey. These are my nominees. All of that is guaranteed to induce gags. Someone in the chat says Sambuca is disgusting. That's ridiculous. Sambuca's good. And so is good tequila. Just don't drink it out of a plastic bottle. Alright, Liquid Rain says, "Natalie, I would really love to convince you to at least start reading my new book. What do I need to do for you to give me a chance?" Well, send me an email. Pitch it to me. If I get really excited about it, I might read it. But that said, I already don't answer a lot of emails because I don't have time, so I might not too. I'm sorry. Gary Brooks says, "What do you think of Rawlsian style liberalism? The tendency in online discourse now is to be either full left communist and scorn liberalism, or to be full-right identitarian and scorn liberalism. Rawls has the best version of liberal democracy, especially the later work. What do you reckon? Yeah. I mean, I would have called myself a Rawlsian liberal when I started this channel. Now I don't say that. I am. I do think that the current trend of extreme views is a trend that'll go away when the communist revolution doesn't happen in the next 2 years, which it won't. But I think that, yeah, I think, it's interesting because Rawls, on the far left, he's thought of as like, oh, this fucking liberal. But he's much further to the left than almost anyone in American politics. If you remember that old video of mine, why I quit academia, I talk about this seminar I was in with other grad students where we were reading, what was it, Nozick or something, and like the class was just like bewildered as to how to refute this guy because we were all, to the left of Rawls. That was a Rawls seminar, technically taught by Charles Mills, a pretty well-known critical race theorist. He's also a fantastic teacher with a wonderful Jamaican accent. And his readings of Aristotle will mean I never read Aristotle in any other voice in my head. Alejandro says, in doing research for the postmodernism video, did you come across the concept of metamodernism? From what I gather, it tries to fill in the gaps of postmodern and modern philosophy. I think Peter Coffin said he's a metamodernist. Wish me luck on getting into San Francisco State. Good luck, Alejandro. Yeah, applying to grad programs does indeed suck. I think I had to apply to like 12 of them, and I got into like 1.5 basically. Geez, I just started reading Peter Coffin's book last night. I don't remember what the term metamodernist is. So unfortunately, I don't know if I can really answer that question very well. I'm sorry. Ricardo says, quick 3 for you. Do you think you'll ever play any guitar anymore in videos? Probably not, because I don't want to fuck up my nails. So that's over. Me playing the guitar is over. 2, if you started a band with only other YouTubers, what would you play and who would be in it? Oh, that's a good question. Who plays music on YouTube? Well, I think I would be... to make a good band, I would do it with music YouTubers. So I would get Adam Neely on bass. I would get... it would just be Adam Neely on bass, and I would play the tambourine. That's my band. 3, would you consider calling it Parasocial Distortion? That's the name. That's it right there. It's really a duo. The Parasocial Distortion Project. Okay, Skullgun. Do you live your everyday life in colored lighting, or do these only get turned on for the camera? I live most of my life in colored lighting now. So people ask me that all the time, and the answer is yes. I think that I've talked about Quentin Crisp on these streams before. He has a lecture from the 70s or 80s called lecture on style or something. And he talks about how your style is something that you have to cultivate all the time, so you never stop doing it, especially when you're at home. And that's what makes it you. So I think that about, things in my videos. I don't just want to have those colored lights in my videos. I want to live in them. So yeah, no, I take actual baths with actual colored lights, and the lights are very relaxing. They're actually quite nice for everyday living. Tom Martell says, since you're about to hit 100k subs, woo, just hit it last week. How do you feel about the greater reach you have on YouTube from, say, a year ago? Do you still feel like you're reaching people with different perspectives? I do. And I think the last video was actually good for that. I was quite surprised that the Jordan Peterson video was really pretty well received by Jordan Peterson fans, which I had been warned that his fans were a crazy, crazy cult, so I was concerned. But, you know, I didn't destroy him, right? I don't do that. I don't destroy people. And I'm happy that a lot of people who consider themselves his fans seem to have listened to what I said and didn't just dismiss me out of hand. So I do still feel that I'm doing that, although I don't do it in the form of debates anymore, and I don't do it on social media anymore, because I, if in effect, cannot talk to non-leftists on social media in public, or otherwise it ruins my week because of the backlash. Alas. Joe Weiss says, is there a way to ask you a question anonymously? Make a burner email account and email me if you don't want to do it on Patreon. Sorry, Joe Weiss, not Joe Weiss. Michael Montoya Orte says, are you a binary or non-binary woman? I know that you identified as genderqueer for a while, but I'd like to know when you realized you were actually a woman, you also realized you were binary, or if you still identify as non-binary. To use any pronouns apart from she, her. At this point, I identify as a binary trans woman, just she, her. And when I probably have to make a whole video about this someday to make it clear because of the nature of my YouTube channel history. But when I first started transitioning last summer, I first was kind of like she, they, and I said what I said about it was that I was going to wait a year, see how I felt. If I still felt like I was still sort of non-binary, or if I just felt like I was a woman. Well, it's been less than a year, but I've already, months ago, I really was like pretty settled into, I'm just a binary trans woman. Like there's not really any sense in which I want to, you know what I mean? Like I'm not any more non-binary than the average cis person, in other words. So I don't see any point in calling myself non-binary. I consider myself misgendered by pretty much any pronoun besides she. Sometimes conservatives will refer to me as this individual. This is an experience I've been having a lot lately. This individual, this person, anything to avoid calling me she. And it's funny, isn't it? Because these are people who are so insistent, right, on the grammatical, grammatical scandal that is using non-binary pronouns, except when it comes to binary trans women. Then, well, they'll go out of their fucking way to invent a whole new multi-syllabic vocabulary for not gendering someone. Sorry, so that was a rant you didn't ask for, but I got your question. Doobie Dude says, hi Natalie, I just want to let you know that the Discord AMA offer is still on the table. Yes. If you ask me about that in a Patreon message, I'll get back to you tomorrow. And if you have not asked me that in a Patreon message, ask me that in a Patreon message, and yeah, let's do it. Kakirtog, the Char in Gold, says, hey Natalie, lately I've been looking to get more YouTubers like you and H Bomber Guy and Lindsay Ellis and Sean. Do I know any others? Well, when you, I assume you're asking about leftist YouTubers, which I guess Lindsay Ellis is, although she mostly does media. Well, H Bomber Guy mostly does media too. So video essays, I guess is what you're looking for. Leftist video essays. Innuendo Studios is worth checking out. For film stuff, Dan Olson. Or Nick Spheres for film stuff. Who else? Lots of people. There aren't that many people who do like leftist video essays, though. I don't know. It's much more common to do the media analysis. There's a new channel everyone's talking about called 3 Arrows that I haven't really had a chance to watch yet, but I will try to check that out this weekend. So you give that a try. What are your thoughts? Sorry, Christina Donnelly says, what are your recommendations? This is a long thing, so I'm just going to try to distill a question. It looks like that's the first paragraph. What are your recommendations for handling a debate where the person uses the technique of overwhelming you with information so that you will either give up or start just debunking each claim, which ultimately leads you into debating points that have nothing to do with your original argument or the larger picture? So I don't know if I'm very good at debating, but I would say what you do when someone's doing that is try to keep them on focus. In other words, when they're asking you these like distraction questions, remind them that that's not pertinent, and like very explicitly redirect the conversation back to the main point. It's hard to do, and you feel kind of you have to be very assertive to do that. But I think that's what you have to do. Otherwise, that they're going to get the best of you with that. Dane Bow says, "Hey Natalie, just wanted to say that I love your content and really look forward to your new videos. Thanks, Dane. The amount of time spent working on them is definitely not lost on us, and the continued increase in quality is fantastic. Apologies if this has already been asked. What inspires you when you're thinking about doing new videos, ideas, characters? What's your creative process like?" Well, I would say most commonly what inspires me to make a video is either some other piece of art, like a movie I watch, or another really good YouTube video, or an experience that I have. So those Freedom Report videos from last year with Jackie Jackson, those were mostly inspired by debates that I did, and I would have these frustrating experiences in the debates, and then I would be inspired by that to write a script about it. Now I don't do debates anymore, so I stopped being inspired to do those videos, but I do kind of want to go back to it, so I'll have to watch other people debate and let that inspire me. I would say often like a video will kind of grow out of one little moment that I have an idea for. Like I get inspired to do this one little idea, this one little like exchange or line or set or something, and then from that I'll kind of build around it, and then a whole video kind of takes shape from that. Often, another way I'll do things, if there's a topic I have a lot of thoughts about, I'll just kind of write down notes about it every time I have a thought, and then so that the autogynephilia video was kind of written unlike any other video I've ever done. That video, over about 2 months, every time I had a thought that was pertinent to the Blanchard and Bailey stuff, I would write it down in a little Word document. And by the end of that, I had like 8,000 words. And I basically just organized all of that to make the video, which seemed to work. But the video is kind of structured differently than other videos I've done, and it's longer, I think, because I made it that way instead of sort of like writing it out as a more unified video from the start. John Leonard says, "Hi Natalie, I'm relatively new, and I wanted to say how grateful I am for your wonderful content and just how amazing, inspiring, and warm you are as a person." Oh, thank you. I would like to ask you if you've ever thought about doing a video about mass incarceration, current prison conditions. I saw the picture of Discipline and Punish, so I also wonder how that affected your thoughts on this issue, which, to be honest, I don't see very much discussion about. Yeah, so I've actually thought for a long time, like since the beginning of my channel, that I eventually wanted to do a video on mass incarceration. I kind of just mentioned it briefly in the video on America's Still Racist, but I'm actually not sure I will do it, in part because the videos I do have a certain tone, and that tone of levity, I'm not sure that would be appropriate for a video on mass incarceration, especially for a video made by a white woman. You know, I think that you know, how do I make that funny? Should you make it funny? Like I'll make transphobia funny because I feel sort of entitled to make it funny, but I worry about something so serious as that it might not be a topic that sort of lends itself easily to a video that's entertaining. It might just be a miserable video, you know what I mean? Which isn't to say it's not important, but I'm not sure it's really what I do. I don't know. Like I said, I've thought about this for a long time because I do think it's one of the most important topics in American politics that is criminally under discussed. But I'm not sure. I'm just not quite sure how to go about doing it. So Samantha Vicanchi says, "Hey girly, a more shallow question for you. Good, something I'm qualified to answer. But wondering what, if any, YouTube beauty channels you watch. Your makeup lately has been banging. I have a soft spot for beauty folks on YouTube, and I'm wondering who you are into. I love Jackie Aina, Desi Perkins, and Patrick Starr, for example. Would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks." Yeah, so Steph Senyotti, I really like her makeup tutorials she's done, although she's not just a beauty channel. I tend to watch, like, when I want to do specific things, I tend to do YouTube searches for that things, which causes me to watch a bunch of people. I don't have that many makeup just like standby channels that I always go to, although with regard to like beauty guru type people, I really love the nail channel Simply Nailogical, because I think the host Christine is like hilarious, and I don't know, she's like the ContraPoints of nail art. So I like that channel a lot, and I watch it just when I'm bored. And as you can see, I'm getting a little more ambitious with my own nail projects, partially inspired by her. And let's see, other makeup people. Oh, on Instagram, I follow a lot of makeup accounts, mostly of the like 18-year-old gay boy genre. Those 18-year-old gay boys are like unstoppable wizards of color and light. It's astonishing. So I don't know. They're so far ahead of me that I mostly follow them for inspiration rather than actual tips. But they're kind of they show you what makeup can accomplish, and I like that. Sometimes for like costume makeup ideas, I'll watch like drag queen makeup tutorials. Like for Lady Foppington, I got some ideas by watching. It was like Miss Fame's basic drag makeup tutorial. I guess Miss Fame's not really a YouTuber, but she did a drag tutorial, and you know, I toned it down to do Lady Foppington, but you know, I have gotten like drag queens makeup can actually be useful for trans women because it's sort of like facial feminization in makeup, and obviously you have to tone it down because you're not painting for, you know, a giant fucking stage audience. But yeah, I guess that's sort of a summary of my watching. Tyler Boone says, "Hi Natalie, love the new video. The response to Abigail was hilarious and adorable. I know you get a lot of questions like this, but I was wondering if you've followed any of the content made by Katie Stoll, Cody Johnson, Some More News, or Ian Danskin, Innuendo Studios. I'd love to see you interact with any of them, as I feel there's potential and some interesting discussions to be had. Although I know this is true of about 10,000 other people. Anyway, keep up the good work." Thanks, Tyler. So yeah, I definitely do know Ian Danskin, or Innuendo Studios. Innuendo Studios is a really underrated channel. He had one video series called "Why Are You So Angry?" That was like from 2 or 3 years ago, which is about Gamergate, which is really good, and that has a lot of views. But his more recent stuff deserves more attention. So yeah, definitely check him out. I don't know Some More News, but someone remind me to check that out, because yeah, I've never heard of that. Jesse Young says, "How do you deal with engaging people who come from a place of true intellectual dishonesty and disingenuous intentions, i.e., any person similar to right-wing YouTube and social media pundits? Because if you come from a place of good faith, it seems like you never get anywhere. Their goal only seems to be to win, deceive, or try to pretend whatever concern you have just doesn't exist. I've gotten to the point where I feel with many people in this camp there's almost no point in dialogue, as they don't want to listen." By the way, your looks have been blue hypergiant levels of HOT lately. No hetero. Thank you. So I think you answered your own question in this paragraph, which is that if you're engaged, you know, people who come from a place of true intellectual dishonesty and disingenuous intentions. You just can't engage with people like that, right? Like the only way to engage with people like that is to reveal their dishonesty and disingenuousness to an audience. You can't convince them of anything if that's where they're coming from. So I would advise avoiding those people as much as possible, because you just can't force someone to care and to try. That has to be a two-way street. Upshuckles, if you did a film analysis video, which film would you do it on? Well, I probably would not do just a video that's just a film analysis, but in that video I did on violence, I spent some amount of time talking about A Clockwork Orange and The Act of Killing. So maybe movies like that. Maybe I would talk about horror movies. I like horror movies a lot. And I think it's very kind of like, an unusually kind of female genre for, movies. And that's always kind of interested me. So I don't know, I might talk about some horror movie. But I probably won't do that because I've thought about that in the past. Like, well, why don't I do movies? Like, all the smart people do movie analysis. Like, why did I get stuck with politics? This sucks. But I think that I just answered my own question. Why? All the smart people already do movie analysis. That market is kind of like saturated. So I guess I don't do it because everyone else is doing it. Somniferous Almond says, "Hey, oh Nat, first off, in regards to my question from last month's AMA, I'd just like to say that there are a lot of problems in the world, and watching a lot of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is definitely not one of them." Well, that's good to hear. Your ability to recall episodes by their title, number, and season is a legit superpower as far as I'm concerned. I suppose so. Or more sign an evidence of years wasted. Anyway, my question is between Mike Pence, Jared Kushner, Jeff Sessions, and Ben Carson. Who's the brains, looks, muscle, and wild card, respectively? Actually replaced Ben Carson with Kellyanne Conway. Carson's obviously the useless chick. Well, let's see. I don't know if any of these people is really the brains. I guess Kellyanne Conway is the muscle. Pence's brains. Jared Kushner is the looks, and Jeff Sessions is the wild card. I don't know. I like Carson in there. I feel like Carson's the wild card. God, that is the group of people I just don't want to hang out with. I don't even like thinking of them as a gang. Michael Puckett says, "Can you speak to Kanye Trump and Kanye watching Jordan Peterson videos? Yes, his album sales and Kanye being Kanye, but he really could be trying to emulate Trump's path to political power. His antagonist comments about black history as a black public figure are particularly problematic." Yeah, so I'm not surprised at all by the Kanye thing. Yeah, it could be a bid for political power, media attention. But it could also just be, the Blair White phenomenon, the Milo Yiannopoulos phenomenon, the Kanye West phenomenon, the Caitlyn Jenner phenomenon. A super privileged person from an otherwise underprivileged group doesn't give a shit about the problems that the rest of the group is affected by, but which he isn't as much, or he thinks. And, I think that this is pretty commonplace. And, he's got an arrogant personality, and I don't think he gives a shit what people say about him, so that's not enough to restrain him from behaving as he behaves on Twitter. But yes, it is always tiresome when people do that. Joshua Hickok says, "Howdy, a few questions, friend. Obviously, you're out of the academy now, Do you still read any philosophy? If you do, what topics and or contemporary philosophers do you read? Well, I actually started reading Richard Rorty, actually, because I was watching that for research on my Jordan Peterson video. I listened to that podcast where Peterson and is talking to Sam Harris, and they're talking about truth. And Richard Rorty came up on that podcast, and I was like, oh, Richard Rorty. Like, I hadn't thought about him in a long time, but I remembered reading Rorty when I was an undergraduate, and I actually used to love Rorty when I was younger. So I went back and started reading some of the essays in, what is the name of the book? It's called Irony. What is it called? Contingency, Irony, and Solidarity. Yeah, which is a great book, and so is Philosophy in the Mirror of Nature. So yeah, I like Rorty. I kind of like anti-philosophy philosophers, if you hadn't noticed, Wittgenstein and Rorty. It actually reminded me that there's something I missed about philosophy. I enjoyed making the Jordan Peterson video. Not because I think Jordan Peterson is a great philosopher, but because it reminded me of the thrill of disagreeing with a person. Which, that's kind of what gets you into philosophy in the first place, is this it's a little bit of a macho urge, isn't it? To be like, this person's wrong. I want to show why they're wrong, right? I don't have that urge as much anymore, but I still got kind of a kick out of it. Yeah, I was enjoying reading Rorty though. Going back to philosophy. Khaki or Tog, the Char in Gold says, so I've been eyeing that $15 reward, and I'm wondering, that Discord, is it only a monthly stream or there regular channels as well? It's a monthly hangout. It's not super active. There's regular text channels too. But it's not a super active Discord, I don't think, although there's a fan Discord somewhere that I don't have anything to do with anymore. But I don't do that because I just can't. But yeah, I have not switched to monthly payments. Okay, this week, everyone. This week, I'm definitely going to publish the proposed changes. So yeah, that's gonna happen this month. Alex Johnson says, do you plan to attend any conferences or give any lectures this year? I'm giving serious consideration of stopping at VidCon. I don't have any lecture things scheduled, but if you know anyone who has a university gig, I'm happy to do the university things, so let me know. And actually seriously, if you want to get me to speak at a university, I really enjoyed doing that, so invite me. I'll do it. But no, I don't have any plans to do that in the near future. Leah Katz says, do you feel bad being assigned male at birth and male presenting for so much of your life? Or do I feel being as AMAB has given me a greater insight into the male psyche? Are there things that cis women feminists misunderstand, minimize, or overlook? In terms of the way that patriarchs impact cis men, context, I think many of my fellow cis women feminists pay lip service to the idea that patriarchy harms men, but I think it's abstract to them in the same way that it's abstract to men how the patriarchy harms women, so we end up talking past each other. I think living as a man for a decade of adulthood probably makes me a little more sympathetic toward men in some respects, but not that much. Because it also gives me, experience, and it also gives me less sympathy in some ways, because I feel like it's harder to excuse people because I just know that there's not really a good excuse to act the way that they're acting, But do I think that I mean, I do think that there's more room to try to enter other people's experiences in general, both directions here. So, I don't know that I particularly have that much insight that cis women feminists lack about what cis guys are like. I mean, there's still things that, like, I still don't really understand why cis guys do them. But I think that with, like, I was thinking about this with respect to dating. I was actually talking about this in the Discord hangout yesterday. I feel bad for guys in dating, because even though a lot of, you know, from a woman's perspective, like, they're so shitty, right? Because they're all coming at you at once, and they're so aggressive and inept, and, you know, but, like, some guys are not pieces of shit, and those guys are also in there. And I think if you're, like, a guy in your 20s in particular, dating sucks. Like, it's you get to deal with a lot of rejection, and I think that sort of creates resentment and sadness. I didn't. I was when I was a guy, I didn't have any trouble, but other people do. So this is not a good answer to that question. But I tried. Oh man. Alright. Dimphnomaniac says, when I first saw Clockwork Orange, I was put off by the gendered violence and the implication that in a universe, I as a woman would only ever be a victim. So I was wondering if your feelings about the movie have changed since your transition. And congratulations on leaving Jordan Peterson speechless. So I think Clockwork Orange is a very misogynistic movie. I think that Stanley Kubrick is a very misogynistic director. And I think that most of his movies are pretty misogynistic. So I was aware of that before I transitioned too. I think now I maybe have even less of a desire to watch that movie, but I think that it's a serious flaw with a lot of Kubrick's movies. I sort of, you know, watched Clockwork Orange several times when I was younger, and it kind of had a big effect on me. But I'm not a real big Clockwork Orange apologist at this point, except that I like the sets and the music and the script. Well, I like the obviously the script is part of the misogyny, but I like the language, the Anthony Burgess, the language. I think that's very interesting and sometimes beautiful. So I think there's kind of, like, worthwhile things in there despite the flaws, but I think that it's not even that necessarily that I resent that women are only victims in his universe, but that women are not really characters in this universe. You know what I mean? Like, it's that the only thing that happens to women, right, is that they get raped and killed. But the movie doesn't care about them. Right? It's about exploring the psychology of all men doing this raping and killing. And that's just kind of, it's part of the course for Kubrick, you know. Wendy, look at the way that Wendy is portrayed in The Shining, or the absolute absence of women in 2001, the absolute absence of women in Full Metal Jacket. It's very, very, very male-centric, yeah. Tanky Factory asks why. I don't know, Tanky Factory. I don't know. Vladlina says, thank you for giving us the opportunity to celebrate this great drinking holiday with you. In your opinion, where does the line fall on Cinco de Mayo celebration practices as cultural appropriation? I am not the person to ask that question, I don't think. I personally, I don't do anything for Cinco de Mayo. I wasn't raised with this as a holiday. I don't do anything. And if I did do anything, I would keep it quiet. So, I mean, I think that, you know, if you feel like having tequila, go for it. But I think that this is just not my judgment call as a white person. Okay, so Luke Jensen says, when are you and Theron getting married? Also, what level of patronage do I need to be receive an invite? We're getting married as soon as possible, and you just have to buy our bridal bed. Then you're invited. Lena, second question. Also, on a more serious note, what were your thoughts on the media response to Michelle Wolf's speech at the White House Correspondents' Dinner? Do you think this furthered your central thesis from Do Liberals Hate Free Speech, that many of the arguments that invokes free speech are inherently disingenuous? Oh, yeah. Yes. So, I think that you're right. It was a good case of, like, just a brazen example of how the right's defensive humor and defensive free speech is just self-serving, instrumental strategy. They don't actually really care about these things that much in principle. It's just that this is a useful talking point for them at this particular strategic juncture. Yeah, I think it's hypocrisy. Okay, actually, I got through those questions faster than I thought I was going to. Maybe I should have taken more time. Well, we can do chat questions. So send me some chat questions, and I'll do those. I'm gonna get some more water, actually, because my voice is a little bit hoarse. BRB. Oh, we're back to sex bots in the chat, are we? Are you ever going to leave Baltimore? Yeah, I guess. I don't really have any reason why I live in Baltimore. I just don't have any reason to live anywhere else either. If I stopped living on the internet, maybe I would actually do something with myself. Would I consider playing an MMO? Probably not, because I don't have time. I don't have time for anything in my life. My life is so overfilled. Like, people always ask me about video games. I don't know. You can just only do so many things with your life, and I'm already doing too many things. So probably, alas, unless I do Cuck Skyrim, I'm not gonna play. I should actually do Cuck Skyrim. Any experience with ADHD? I was misdiagnosed when I was a kid. I don't actually have it though. I know a lot of people do. So that's the experience, I guess. Taking some Adderall. I don't know if that counts. Oh yeah, sure thing, Scotch. Oh gosh, that reminds me. I need to get back to Sarah Anderson because she sent me a message a while ago and I never responded to her. I haven't responded to anyone. I'm so terrible. My inbox is full of messages that I haven't responded to because I don't know. It's hard. I don't have time. I'm glad that she followed you though, Scotch. That's cool. I have not watched Let the Right One In, I don't think. Or have I? It sounds very familiar. I might have watched it. I don't remember though. I've watched a lot of horror films, but like often like kind of drunk with friends, so my memory of which particular ones I watched is sometimes not perfect. Go on, Chapo. Yeah. Tips on voice feminization. Well, work with someone. See if you can find someone who sort of knows what they're doing to help you. It is very frustrating and difficult, yes. I would say that try to contextualize the frustration and exhaustion in terms of motivating factors, right? Because for me, listening to my voice recorded a lot, even if it's unpleasant, that unpleasantness motivates me to change, you know? I think some trans people I talk to who they get very discouraged because they, oh God, they hear the sound of their voice and it causes dysphoria, so they just don't listen to their voice ever. Well, that's understandable, but you're not going to get better if you won't face the facts. So I would say, yeah, actually, you know, as much as you can tolerate it anyway, don't like push yourself too hard. But yeah, it's actually good to torture yourself by listening to the wretched screech, the wretched sounds of your own voice played back on recording, because that motivates you to change it. And you also work on it. Listen to it recorded and played back, because in effect, this is what happens to me when I upload videos or when I watch recorded live streams, is that I have to listen to the terrible, terrible sound that's coming out of my mouth. And then I can like make little adjustments to things. And over time, well, over the last, 6 months, you can see that my voice has changed a lot. It probably needs to change more. But, and you can obviously be the judge of how good or bad I sound, but it's definitely different. What's the farthest I would travel for a uni lecture? Well, there's no limit if they were paying for my travel, I would say. I'm not going to pay any like intercontinental flights. I'm not going to pay for that myself. But if anyone else wanted to pay for it, sure, yeah, I'll go to Europe. I'll go wherever. Is it worth trying to debate your alt-right uncle when he's 50 plus and an avid follower of Lauren Southern? Well, I don't know your uncle, but I'm going to guess that it is not. I mean, the most you can do is humanize leftists, probably, by simply existing and having the opinions you have. But unless you're an exceptionally gifted communicator, or he's an exceptionally open-minded alt-right Lauren Southern fan, then probably not. When will there be more? Will there be more Dare to Hate in future videos? Possibly. Maybe I should try again reading more Derrida. Maybe I'll turn out to like him now. How is your ring light? I'm enjoying it. It's good for getting that very distinctive, like, I make makeup videos look. Is Cuck Skyrim still on the docket? Yeah, we could do Cuck Skyrim. We actually can do it now that I have a new computer. But I spend 15 hours a day for a week with Jordan Peterson. I basically already did, making that last video. Listening to him a lot of the time anyway, or thinking about him. I would not want to spend that much time with him in person, no. If Trump owed me a favor, what would I ask him for? To dig a tunnel deep into the mountains and never come out of it. Oh no. I have a friend genuinely taking Dennis from Always Sunny as a role model for getting a woman. Any advice for confronting Dennis-type people on their shitty views of women? Oh my god. Well, if he's already just taken a parody of pickup artists and is imitating that, your friend might be... he might be lost. He might be lost cause. Maybe show him some later seasons of It's Always Sunny where it's revealed that Dennis actually isn't good with women and is a psychopath. I ever visit Ireland? I've never have visited Ireland, but I really, really want to. I have a feeling I would like Ireland. Because everyone I know who goes there loves it. I really want to go. That's like near the top of my list, place I want to visit. If I stayed in academic philosophy, who or what would I be studying? Oh, God, I don't even like entertaining that hypothetical question because I have no desire to do that. But had I stayed, I was thinking about writing a thesis about like aesthetics and morality, which is a very like Oscar Wilde kind of topic, but it's for the best. I didn't waste my life writing that. I've got things that are better said on YouTube to say about that. What do I think of myself from a year ago? Would react if they could see me now? Transition. I've thought about that sometimes. I don't know, actually, what I would have thought. I like to think that I would have been pleased with the progress. I think I would have been surprised by the change. Because when I was, a year ago talking about like wanting to transition but not feeling like I could or like I was good enough, I think I had a lot of conceptions about what was and wasn't possible that in some ways I've broken. Like, I think I would be very surprised that it was possible for my voice to be like this, because I sort of didn't understand what a voice training could do. So I think I'd be surprised by that. It's difficult to say otherwise, because it's very difficult for me to look at myself now through the eyes of myself a year ago. But when I look back at myself a year ago, I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I looked like that. So I think I probably would have a similarly strong reaction looking forward. So that's kind of a nice thought, right? And I would be impressed. I'm trying to impress myself. I'm trying to impress past me. Yeah, I would do a small event. I would certainly consider it, especially if I had if I could combine it with something else, like a Chicago event. Yeah, Sabrina. What videos are in the works? Well, one for May. All I want to say, I don't want to say too much about future videos, but here's the information I will disclose. I'm doing a return to videos driven by characters, which I haven't done for like 6 or 7 months now. But I really, really miss it. I miss writing those videos and making those videos. And I want to go back to that. So that's what you can expect for the upcoming few months, I think. Any weird dreams lately? I don't dream very much. I think I do dream and I just don't remember them, which is a sign I'm sleeping well and getting enough sleep. That's one awesome thing about my life now. Even though in some ways my habits are not very healthy as a person in general, at least I sleep enough, which is part of the YouTube life. It's one of the benefits, is that I don't have to wake up early for things. It was always a problem with me when I had jobs or school, as I just wouldn't sleep enough if I had to wake up early, because I just naturally want to stay up late and naturally want to wake up late. And now I get to do that, so I actually get enough sleep. You're welcome, Nike. Would I appear in a rap video to collaborate with another YouTube channel? Possibly. Depends what the rap video was and what YouTube. I don't know the Juice Media. How do I set the lighting in my videos? I use bulbs called LiftX bulbs, which I control with my phone. So there's actually a cyan light behind me, but I can change the color. Dark blue, red, and turn up the intensity. These are a lot of fun. Put on color cycle. I don't have a manager. I don't have anyone. It's terrible. I'm so disorganized, and I just drop conversations and emails all the time because it's just chaos over here. I just don't have enough time to do it. I should probably hire a social media secretary. I don't know how that works though. But yeah, I probably should have someone doing that for me. How do I feel about trans people who aren't bothering with voice training? You don't have to do anything. I mean, do what you want to do. I think it helps with passing if that's the thing you care about, but unless you don't need it to pass. Some people don't. Some people have naturally very voices that are very similar to the gender presentation they want. I felt that I did not have a very feminine voice a year ago, so I feel that I need to have done work on it. But like literally, when it comes to transition, like don't do things unless you want to do them. So that's my only thought about that. I would love to come to Toronto. I've interacted with Steph Sagnani only like very occasionally, so I wouldn't say that we're friends, although I really like her channel, so I would love to meet Steph. Yeah, it would be a fun thing to do in Toronto. You're going to be in Baltimore. Anything you should definitely see do. Go to the Visionary Art Museum. I just went for the first time. It's really cool. It's like outsider art, meaning like just randos have done this art, but some of it's really out there and interesting and pretty and like not what you usually see in contemporary art museums. I like it a lot. Cool building too, if you like that kind of thing. Okay, I think that's going to be a wrap. Thanks everyone for your questions, and I will talk to you for another one of these in a couple weeks because I have to do the May stream still, and I don't want to save it for last. So we'll do another. We'll do the May AMA in a couple weeks, and by that point, I should have the proposal for the new Patreon updates, including going monthly. So, have a good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.